Welcome back. Let me tell you, you may just see me and Pastor Raphael, but there's a whole team and it's getting explosive in here because the arguments that's going around is, okay, ati tumembo tusikue na mademu wengi, sijui kurukaruka hivi. You cannot be, nowadays they don't even say King Solomon, they say Father Abraham. Yeah? But the truth is we're speaking about being a morally upright person, especially if you're in the spiritual world of the Lord. So we're talking about raising Christian children, raising them in Christ in this technology, and we've been able to tackle where it begins, and for single moms who are already doing their best to raise children and to raise them differently and how they should encompass themselves. And when we were speaking, something kept creeping up on me, and this is something in the Bible. I'm the father of the fatherless. So be encouraged, and we're going to step further into this as we continue to talk about what really it takes to raise this child who will not depart from the ways that you've taught them. Wow, you've had the eruption. I don't know if you can briefly address the boy child and the men and the fathers who've decided to walk away. And sometimes I say, and I'm going to say this without any apologies, and this is something I read somewhere. Someone said maybe even getting yourself in a situation, especially for months where you're raising your child alone, it could be actually a blessing in disguise, because these are the person who keeps showing up and disappearing and bringing all these values. They won't impact this child directly. There will be less impact, less influence. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you. I would really think that absentee fathers is really a cause of a lot of maladies that we experience spiritually. They say statistically that actually a study was done in America that almost 75% of young people involved in crime were raised up from single mom homes by absentee fathers who just show up for conjugal rights and then disappear, reappear. So, but they don't take up that element of responsibility.
Yes.
So the father and the man figure is a very, very important part. But this is what we're addressing. If they're not there, does that mean life ends?
No,
it doesn't end. It has to continue. And you discover that there was a time that God wanted to speak to Balaam, and it was not, the only available tool was a donkey. You know, and use the donkey to talk to Balaam. Now, I have to be very careful. I'm not equating women to a donkey. All I'm just saying is, in the event that there is no man, God will use the woman to play both roles of the man and the woman. So our viewers kindly, don't write and harass Maureen that your guest called you donkeys. I apologize. I'm just trying to say that in the event somebody oh God, I hope they understand me.
Please, viewers, understand. It's just the way Jesus used parables to speak. Pastor is saying God will use anything. And in this case, if a man is not there, God will use you as a woman to actually deliver those values a father should. Because how else is he a father of the fatherless? He doesn't show up in the evening to come and take the kids, I'm about to say boys because men are boys, show them how to do homework. He manifests inside of you the same way he manifested him and spoke through the donkey. Okay, I think they'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah. So when coming back to what you had talked to, and you're saying the things we're discussing off air, I think in the beginning, normally when we are referring or creating doctrine, we go back to the beginning. What did God do at the beginning? When God made Adam and Eve.
Yeah, true.
God did not make Adam, Eve, Awino, Atieno. He made one man
and one
woman.
To be co-creators with him.
Culturally, in the culture of the day, people practiced polygamy biblically. So when the Bible records that, let's say Abraham or Solomon or whoever had many wives, it is just giving a record, but not giving an approval that polygamy is acceptable scripturally.
True.
It's just recording
I love that. Yes.
what happened,
yes.
that this man had this number of wives,
yes.
but it's not saying that that is what
The right
every man
thing.
should do.
Yes.
Because I think all men watching and those who are here can agree, you know, having one lady ready to work,
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's a full-time job to keep and maintain one wife. So to have several, that's wanting to die before your time, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in my opinion. So
Yes.
I think one man, one woman, that's
I do
biblical
agree.
prescribed.
Yes, I do agree with you. And at the end of the day, it's doing the right thing. And this could go on and on and on, because times have changed. Now we're living in very tough economic times. And usually when you see a man having multiple women, you cannot tell me there's peace that will exist in there. Then there's the obvious risks. There's diseases. There's you know, spiritual bondages or soul ties. There's a lot that the eye doesn't see. And also we happen to be humans who select parts of the word and say this will apply, but they do not finish and understand the whole Bible all the way to Revelation, where and I find it so it's sad, because you cannot teach a person who chooses and picks what they want, because it can be very convenient. Even me, even right now, someone can pick that part and say, Pastor Raphael has called us donkeys, but they need to hear the entire context and understand. All right, so let's go back on course and talk about now these children, and I want you to free ride with it. Even you as a parent, maybe what you could be doing for your 11-year-old, what you've done, what you're doing, what you plan to do in the future, because I feel like we should raise children, and again, I'm here to learn, so correct me or just let me know what your thoughts are. I believe that we should raise children to release them to the world, and we are just custodians. That's how I feel. God gives you custody of these children. You teach them. You do what is supposed to be done, and then release them to the world. And I had started by saying, if you're parenting a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 35-year-old who is doing all manners of things, but then they come back, you know, to mommy or to daddy. And we've seen it happens. In a state, you're seeing a grown person is there, he has children all over the place, they're also there in the same house. Could you just walk us through that until adulthood? How are we raising these children, and how do we release them to the world? And how does parenting shift and change along the way?
I think that's very important. Essentially, we need to understand that times are changing, and by times changing, there are methodologies that are changing.
Yes.
And truth doesn't change. Truth is
constant.
Yes, constant, but the method of applying the truth changes.
Yeah.
So we were brought up in a context where you could not sit down with a parent to discuss anything.
Very true.
And your parents were always right and you're wrong. And anytime you try to, or if you try to respond like in your home, they'll shut you down.
Yeah.
So that was a different age. That methodology worked then. But now the challenge is, us parents that are there now, we were not adequately equipped to deal with the current generation that is there, because what we are trying to do is replicate what our parents taught us. So when your child comes and tells you this, you spank them or shut up, and they end up suppressing those feelings, and they can play nice when they're with you, but when they're out there, they do all manner of different things.
Yeah.
So the kind of parenting that we advocate for now is what I call an open parenting. you need to learn to talk to your children. Not talk at, but talk with, engage in conversations. That doesn't negate the place of discipline, because that's a biblically prescribed order. Discipline is there, but you need to learn to get to talk to your children. There are several things that this does. Number one, it builds their confidence that they're able to engage in a conversation with an adult person who can listen to them. So that empowers them that anytime they're in the world, when they're writing business proposals, they have to defend their thesis. You had adequately prepared them to stand before a panel or adults and have confidence to talk and be listened to. So, but when you keep shutting down your child, you are inculcating inferiority complex, and that is what make our very educated children fail at interviews. Very educated young men afraid to approach women to get married because they don't. They were always bogged down. Their confidence was eroded. So they don't know how to approach ladies to get married. So they get engrossed in their books. They end up becoming lonely professors. In the end, they end up dying as your single old men. But when you learn to let your child know that you are making sense, okay, let me hear your part. Okay, you have said this, but have you seen it in this light or this other light? And then they also begin to think and they begin to reason. So they are growing mentally, they are growing in their scope of in their worldview. So they are learning a lot of things. So when you begin to engage with your child and say, okay, first of all, I need you to understand that I am your parent. And as your parent, this is my home. This is my wife, though your mother, and this is my kingdom. And in this house, we have a certain set of rules that govern this home. And here are the rules that govern this home. So this is our constitution in this home. So as long as you're in this home, it behooves you to subscribe and submit to these conditions. And if you want a constitutional reform, present it in a very rational way. No throwing tantrums, no daddy, mommy, come sit me down and say, daddy, this doesn't make sense, and give me your reasons. And I sit down and I listen to you, because that's what I actually normally do with my daughter. Sit down and listen, and when after presenting all the versions, then I also come and present my views, and then now whoever has the facts win. And I can promise you, there are arguments my daughter has won. There's a level of rationale that my daughter has brought that made me see a lot of sense. Like for example, like when you're correcting them, at times you raise your tone. He says, Dad, I'm here. I'm not very far. Just talk to me. I can listen to you. But you see, but you're making me annoyed. And she can quote you the scriptures. The Bible says, in your anger, do not sin. Okay, and makes you look foolish. My daughter has severally done that. In fact, I think my daughter may be 11 chronologically, but she's somewhere else. But I'm discovering she has a lot of confidence. When I was celebrating my birthday, she gave a speech in church. You see confidence, speaking like somebody that is loved, appreciated. Even if I don't make sense, I know I'll be corrected well. You know, and vice versa. So now I'm in the conversations where she wants to add an extra piercing. So I'm telling her, give me reasons why. Why do you think this is important? Is it because you have seen somebody? You know, I don't tell her, don't do it. She wants to know why. And why it's human nature
to defy any rules.
To rebel.
To rebel.
So the kind of parenting now is not when the child comes home with this, you bring a cane, beat them, then explain later. But when they know these are the rules, and then you explain, do you understand that you've broken the rules? So do you understand why I'm disciplining you? That according to our set rules, I warn you once, I warn you twice, but on the third warning, it's not only a verbal warning, there is a cane involved. Did you understand that? Yet you broke the rules. So you see, I tell her, you see how calm I am? We are not arguing. So it's not that I'm angry with you. I'm disciplining you because you've defied our constitution. Tell her, a time will come, you'll have your home and you'll have your constitution. And as your parents, when we come to your home, we'll not come as bosses. We'll have entered a different zone. That's your kingdom. We'll abide by your constitution because that's your home. But for now, this is our home and these are the rules that govern this home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they need to understand that. And that also helps them to respect people's spaces. So that they don't come going imposing on people. When they enter, they understand, okay, there's a boundary here. They may have a different set of rules. That doesn't mean they are bad people. It's just what is working for them. Okay. Like some people, you can't enter their house with shoes.
With shoes,
you have to. There are some people, for example, there are times to watch telly. There are some people that over the weekends this is done and that. So there are some people. You know, you wake up in the morning, you have to do your prayers, you have to do your bed, you have to go clean up, you have to dress up, come finish up on part of the homework that you didn't do. When you are in here, ask questions where need be. So we train by conversation and negotiation. So now it's not the cane that is talking, because most of the time when you discipline somebody without knowing why they are being at times they will feel that even the good they are doing, they're being punished. I just floated a proposal and you're beating me up. Now I'm a grown person. I've written a good proposal. There is a fear in me that when I present this to my company, I'll be flogged or it will be turned down. So you are very bright children with excellent and exceptional ideas that don't know how to express them because inwardly they are suffering with low self-esteem that was instilled by their parents because anytime they wanted to express something, it was shut down. So now what happens, how to cover inferiority complex. Now for the ladies, for you not to see that I'm inferior, I cover it by my makeup, I cover it by my physical outlook, I cover it by being outspoken, I appear like I'm bold.
But in truth, you're
I cover it,
inside,
I cover it, I go to the streets to do demonstrations to show, you know, this and this. But for men, they go hype up, pump up in a gym because most of what you see is gym, and there's nothing wrong with gymming, guys. Again, a disclaimer: you need to do exercise is important, but for most, it's just a cover-up. This is just a case to appear masculine, to appear manly, but inside is a small boy screaming, "I'm afraid. Don't come near me. Don't know me too well. Don't know me too much." So you find a man,
the detachment,
looks at a lady that they love.
But then they won't go all the way.
They spark a conversation, and then he knows that if I let this lady in, she'll know that I'm just a boy in a man's casing.
Thank you.
So what I do, I pull out.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So we need to build right now by conversation, listening to them. You know, when you listen to me, you are proving to me I'm important. And listening is not listening and you're on phone, listening and there's eye contact and engaging, you know, asking questions. I know you are listening. And that builds some level of confidence because it tells me that what I'm saying is important.
My goodness, you know, I have witnessed exactly what you've said on both female and male aspect, whereby a friend, very well established, beautiful woman and all that, she has her stuff together, very organized, and then there's this man who is also well established. You would think, you know, what else? There is nothing to hold them back. And then you see that this man comes like that, close, and then they pull away. And then what happens is the lady is left thinking, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? What was that? But it explains a lot because you find it's not about that person, but you can see the ripple effect whereby even this woman could be feeling like there's something wrong with them. But I thank God by the fact that we're able to replace, it's okay, that we're able to recognize and also hopefully instill that. And maybe my question would be, could you tell now grown men and women who are in that situation of covering up their brokenness and all those things that happened to them when they were children, what they would do to actually overcome that?
Thank you. One of the steps is you can never overcome some of these things alone. And you have to come to a place where you are vulnerable. And our culture doesn't teach men to be vulnerable. Do you know, thinking that, let's take an example of this gentleman. Established in his own way. The reason he thrust himself in his work was because he's covering something. So you see me good looking, well established, I have a car, but all this I'm covering a battle on the inside. You know, being vulnerable to that lady, letting her know.
Yeah.
And I've discovered, men, please listen to me, at times, what a woman need is just some level of sincerity. You just let her know. But here's the truth. I was raised like this. All my life I've been like this. There is this battle and struggle I have. So I'm afraid. And looking at you, looking at the confidence you exude, looking at how confident you are in your own skin, it intimidates me.
My goodness,
and I'm afraid that when you get to know really who I am, that you might change your mind about me.
Yeah.
So I prefer this. Just we get just this far for you to not to lose respect for me and not I love you just this way. Tuko tu hapa tu tunachezea hapa tu. I don't want to be close and intimate. So being vulnerable and being sincere and open is very important. We have these men fellowships that we normally get to, and when we get to the men fellowships here, we tell the men, now please, now we are men here, so don't try to be macho, bringing out esteem. No.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Yes, you're severe mali pengine. Now we want to be vulnerable here. So really, what are we struggling with? And I can tell you, 89% of men fight with a bruised ego, whether they have a low self-esteem or high self-esteem. Men are battling with identity. Who am I? So the reason they are working hard is because they feel the job gives them identity. The reason I'm gymming, it gives me identity. The reason I'm wearing a good suit, expensive colognes, I'm investing in things that are meaningless.
Don't make any sense. Yeah. Like washing your hands with champagne.
Can you imagine?
Can do something amazing with that 20, 30,000. You can give it to a needy person. That's so empowering. I hear you.
Yeah, so it's just to be vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, God can heal you. You know, Paul said, I've discovered that it's in my weakness that God's strength is manifest. So Paul said, I will glory in my weakness. Because that is the only place I find God's strength. So when we learn to be vulnerable before God, then the strength of God will gradually become displayed. So which means when I'm with you, or when I'm with you as my lady, I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to try to
be somebody you're not.
Yes, you know, like try to borrow a car to take you out or take you to this expensive place. Nimefuliza, nimefanya nini. I say, baby, just eat whatever you want. And I'm struggling. And, you know, I'm, okay, I wanted to say something, but I won't say it.
Safe space. It's a safe space.
I mean, you know, spending a lot on a girl, but your mother is walking barefoot at home.
Very true.
You are spending like 10, 15,000 for dinner, and you are living in a house, you're paying 3,000. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So I want you to love me for me first.
Exactly.
Okay. So how do men, I encourage men, get to know your identity. Number 2, get a vision as a man. I may not be there, but I'm heading there. So what's my selling point is my vision.
Yes.
So when you hang around this man, this is who I am now. I'm living in a house, I'm paying 3,000. Give me 5 years. I'll be a real estate mogul.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I have a vision. It's well articulated. It's well broken down. I know what I want in life, and I'm giving my all in it. Okay? And in my personal experience, I've discovered for most women, when you articulate a vision accurately, no matter where you are, they will follow you.
Thank you. Because a lot of women, and I can compare the boy child and the girl child, and this is a conversation we can have another day. Women are really empowered. We are very vulnerable. All those qualities you're talking about, we have mastered them. And I think, because something can happen to me and I dash off to the bathroom crying, and I'll meet another lady and we'll cry together, and I come back feeling okay, but a man will bottle that up and then start you know, making, and I see jokes going around For instance, you know, when you give a girl flowers and she throws them away, or in the in the dustbin, then you find someone saying, and that's how bro started going to the gym. So we're not really conceptualizing what's going on, but now it makes a lot of sense. And I would love for you to come back another day and expound more, or let us know where we can even, you know, reach out. Could you tell them where we can find you?
Okay, you can, I'm normally in Rongai.
Yes.
So Ongata Rongai, Masai Lodge Road, behind Africa Fuels, Living Springs Chapel,
Yes.
a great church where God lives.
Yes.
My office is there.
Yes.
So I'm there every other day of the week apart from Mondays.
Okay.
And my Facebook is Raphael Yafa. You can get me on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, Pastor Raphael Yafa. I have some small things I've thrown there. You can reach me there as well.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so glad to hear that you're on social media, because it's we have to accept that's where we are, and that's where you can preach and get, or you can reach masses through social media. And yeah, we can't wait to have you back.
Thank you for
or
this
even
opportunity.
Visit.
Yeah.
Yes, so we are very honored to get that wisdom out of you, and I hope like, you know, the gentlemen have heard, and I'm telling these guys, you've gotten a free conference for those minutes we've spoken, and at the end of the day, it's about foundation, the very beginning of everything, and who they become. And thank you for breaking that down to us so articulately. So I'm going to end it here, but definitely it doesn't end here. The conversation must continue. And thank you for the good work you're doing.
Thank you for having me. I totally appreciate it.
All right, God bless you.
Bless you.
Guys, I hope you are feeling the things I am feeling. I hope you're absorbing everything that Pastor Raphael told us today, and that you can even dig deeper and ask yourself, because I feel like he's equipped you with a few things as a parent. How do I raise this child? How do I tell them A, B, C, D without really telling it to them or talking at them, but talking with them? And also respecting our kids. Kids are marvelous, they're bright, they know things, they see, they have eyes, they feel, and eventually, at the end of the day, like I always say, we're just custodians. You must release children or young adults who can be able to take care of themselves. It's been so wonderful. I've been your host, Maureen Waititu, and until next time, good night.